And we're back with Generation 3, starting up strong with Tricker. This Generation 3 is the first generation that I struggle to choose what Pokemon I want for my starter. Because in the first generation, it was Bulbasaur. In the second generation, it was Totodile. In this generation, there's two that I really struggle to choose from because they're both fucking amazing and I love them. Like, they're really good in battle and they're really good to look at. Like, perfect Pokemon. And we're starting up strong with Trico. I usually have, I think, Trico or Grovyle for longer than usual because it has this weird thing where it can learn a really good, like, absorb move, but it doesn't learn it when it evolves. So I actually have a Trico longer than usual, which does knock it down a few points. But Trico is just really cool gecko lizard, and I've always had this thing for lizards. And Trico was that. I love him. Grovyle. This thing is so sleek and so cocky and so amazing and so fucking badass. And so they wanted to fucking recreate this later on in Generation 5 and failed in every way. But Grovyle. Grovyle. Yes. Yo, fuck. What happened? I love Grovyle. And for the longest time, I would never evolve it into Sceptile. In later years, I've grown to like Sceptile a lot more. I think it's really cool. But Grovyle's just better. So that's why the other one tends to be the one I pick. Alright? And if you've been watching this list so far, you might be able to guess which one that is. Torchic! Torchic is cute and adorable, and it turns into a big penis. And then into one of the most overrated Pokemon in the series. Just like Typhlosion and Charizard. It's funny how the fire types tend to attract that kind of attention. And now we have the true choice at the first generation of the third generation. Do you like Mudkips? Well, I most certainly do. Mudkip is great. Its first stage is really cute and based on the Axolotl, one of the world's coolest animals. It evolves into Marshtomp, which is just happy to be around. It gets the ground type, which makes it fucking amazing. One of the best type combinations in the series. And then it evolves into Swampert. This is the Pokemon I usually go with. It's a water type again. But, look at it. Look, fucking... It's an amazing type. It's got great stats. It's got great moves. It's got great defenses. It's great. Everything about this Pokemon is fucking perfect. I love Swampert. I love Grovyle, and I would typically choose Trico more often, but these days, Swampert. But that also comes with a problem that we'll go into later. Poochyena. It's the early dark type, which is something they started to do, I think, at this point. Yeah. Probably because of the complaints with Generation 2. But, yeah, okay. Mightyena. It's a main wolf. Or, sorry, it's not main wolf. It's kind of hyena. I think it's called main... I don't know. It's a hyena. It's okay. Zigzagoon! The best HM slave to ever exist. Okay, so this is a Pokemon I usually have on my team in every playthrough Generation 3. Why? Because not only is it fucking adorable, but it has the ability Pick Up. So as you're scrolling through the game, it will pick shit up for you and be like, here you go, friend. I picked up this Pokeball for you. Maybe you can use it to capture a new friend. Ziggy, you're amazing, buddy. And then it evolves to this sleek motherfucker, Linoon, that can actually learn Surf. So right there and then, you've got yourself a Pokemon that can learn Cut and Rock Smash and Surf and has Pickup. Really cute, really sleek, really nice design. I love it. I love Badgers in general. Like, great Pokemon, great ability, great fucking usefulness. This is the best HM slave and has always been the best HM slave. I love Linoon. It's great. Wurmple. Wurmple is Weedle and fucking Caterpie Mach 2. Cute, better than Weedle, not as good as Caterpie. Silcoon and Cascoon, same fucking thing. Not as good as Kakuna. Beautifly, a more boring, Butterfree. It's just that again. Cascoon, gave my opinion on that before. Dustox, again, a much boring Dustop, not whatever the other one is called. Lotad, and here we have the problem I have with choosing either Trico or Mudkip. I love Lotad. I love Lombre. But most of all, I fucking adore Ludicolo. And anyone who has played Pokemon Colosseum knows why. That fucking... The guy with the giant afro, like, that one side is brown, one side is white, and there's like a comb on top of it, and he dances to disco music with an entire team of fucking Ludicolo, and the music's like do 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 arriba do 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 Kanga. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. It's, and ever since then, I've just had this image in my mind of this Ludicolo just dancing every single time I face it, even if it's not animated. In my head, I've just got that music playing with Ludicolo, Ludicolo, Ludicolo in my head, and it's just so joyous that I want one of these on my team every single fucking time I play through the game. And in fact, this is another reason why Generation 3, I have done mono water teams multiple times. Because, you know, it's got like Rain Dish and Swift Swim, so it's really good for a rain team. And I like the color green a lot. I love water types. Like, Ludicolo is perfect. It's one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. I love Ludicolo a great deal. But it also means that at the start of the game, I have like 2 water types. And that happens a lot. But it's just how it goes, because I fucking love Ludicolo a great deal. And it's just a perfect Pokemon in every way. There's no issue with it, beyond the fact that it's another type of its typing that I like. Ludicolo is great. C-Dot. Unfortunately, because of my love of Ludicolo, this guy very rarely gets a look in. I have used Shiftry a few times. It's okay, but Ludicolo is better. Talo, the early bird. I've used Swellow a few times. It's okay, but it's just an early bird. Wingull! I love Wingull. I have a problem with water types, okay? I love Wingull. I love Wingull so much, especially when I was into Pelipper. I've used it a few times. Again, mono water teams. In their later games, it didn't have it at the time, I don't think, but in later games, it gets the ability to summon water, like rain, right away, which makes it a great addition to water type teams. Water teams are back now, apparently, in Sword and Shield because of this dude. And it's a cute little pelican, and I've met pelicans in real lives, and they're not cute, and they're not little, they're aggressive motherfuckers. Pelicans are sassy. They're very sassy. But this guy isn't. He's just this cute little Pelipper that goes, Pelipper! And he's cute. And he's a massive weakness to electric, but that's fine. That's fine. We have Ludicolo. Ludicolo apparently, surprisingly, can handle electric. We've got fucking Swampert, and Swampert can really handle electric, so it's fine. And Pelipper, I love him. He's cute. Ralts. Speaking of another Pokemon that I always have on my team, yeah, typically speaking about it, as soon as I start Pokemon, Generation 3, I have most of my team set. I'm not even joking. Ralts, Curlier, and most importantly, Gardevoir. Incredible Pokemon. This was the first psychic Pokemon that I truly loved. I loved Espeon, but that's mainly because it's an Eevee evolution. But I would have much rather had Umbreon. It just wouldn't work for the team. I have the same problem with loving Vaporeon, but I tend to use Jolteon because it's just better for the team. Gardevoir was so good, and it was even better in Generation 3 when they gave it the furry type, making it one of the best Pokemon in the entire game. It is in-fucking-credible. It has one of the best typings in the game, some of the best movesets in the game, one of the best designs in the game, and never look it up on the internet. I love this Pokemon. This is also one of my friend's favorite Pokemon. In fact, it might just be my friend's favorite Pokemon. It's fantastic. Really cool looking design, not over the board with the human aspects. I love how it's like a float, it floats, but it still has legs. It's just, it's it like perfectly embodies this kind of like a friendly guardian spirit. When you have one of these on your side, you feel protected, and that's probably because it's one of the best Pokemon in the fucking game. Surskit, another shit bug. Masquerain, I hate this thing. Surskit is at least cute. This thing is useless. Like, everything about this I hate. Shroomish is adorable. I love Shroomish, and I really love Balloon. This fucking mushroom kangaroo fighting type that kicks people to death. Hell yeah. That's amazing. But I already have Trico or fucking Lotad on my team. So chances are I'm not going to be using this. Slackoff. I think this little derp is adorable. I like him. I just never use him because I made that mistake once and he turned into a pain in the ass. Vigoroth, really cool. And if I do have a Vigoroth on my team, I never evolve him. Because while Slackoff is amazing and as powerful as your typical legendary Pokemon, even today, he skips every turn. Every other turn. He'll move once, and then the next turn, he doesn't move. That's what the true ability is all about. And that makes it really fucking annoying to use. And because Pokemon is so easy, at this point and onwards, you don't need that. Nincada. Nincada is a real underrated gem. Really cool little Pokemon. I love its gimmick where it evolves into two Pokemon. One of which being Ninjask, which crits for days. Really speedy Pokemon. The ability Speed Boost is amazing. Takes a little bit of setup, but if you can get this thing with like Baton Pass and you want to use that kind of strategy in your team, this guy's amazing. I also like how it's the first proper useful bug. It's still really kind of it's still kind of weak and fragile, but if you can get it going, it's amazing. It's really good. And at this point, because you couldn't trade over Cypher and Scizor, and I don't even think they're in these games, yeah, they're not in these games as far as I'm aware. You couldn't trade them over until the Fire Red and Leaf Green remakes were made. So this really was the first good and viable bug to be added to the game. Because back when Scizor and Cypher have been in the game, whilst they've been really cool to look at, their moveset has let them down. But at this point, we're finally starting to get some good bugs. It's still very rare though. Shedinja is a gimmick Pokemon. It's got 1 life, 1 hit points, but will only be hit by things it's weak to, which is a really cool idea. But I've tried to use it before, but it was just annoying. Really cool idea. I love its gimmick, but it is very much just a Pokédex box Pokemon. I've tried to use this thing before. It's shit. Again, I've tried to use this thing before. It's shit, but I like its design. I've tried to use this thing before. It's really shit, but I really like its design. Mako Eater is your good choice for a fighting Pokemon. It's really good, but I don't like it. Hariyama, same thing. Amazing Pokemon. Fan-fucking-tastic, but I don't like it. Azurill was completely not necessary and isn't even a water type. Nosepass. No. Skitty. I like this thing. I like this thing a lot. I've used it before, quite a few times actually. It's not the best Pokemon, but its gimmick of using Assist, where it will randomly use a move from any move whatsoever that another Pokemon in your party has, is really fucking cool. I was always a fan of Metronome and moves like that. They were really fun to mess around with. So while Skitty may not be the most powerful Pokemon out there, late game when you have some really powerful moves on your team, Assist can be a lot of fun to use. Delcatty is not as fun to look at or as cute as Skitty, but it's the same kind of thing. Assist is really fun to use. Sableye, no weaknesses at the time until he added the fairy type to the game in Generation 6, so 3 generations later. Really cool looking Pokemon, very creepy looking Pokemon, but it's not one I've ever used because it's just kind of like, its main thing is its lack of weaknesses. Mawile, I don't like it. Aron, ooh, this is a Pokemon I typically have on my team. It is another one of those Pokemon like Magikarp that is a real pain in the arse to level up. It takes ages to level this thing up. It is super slow. It requires a lot of experience. It takes a long time. But man, when you get Larion, oh, that's when it starts to be useful, and it is really fucking good. And then when it evolves into Aggron, you have beaten the game. Aggron it's another Steel type, and Steel type, I love Steel type for the same reason I love Water type. They tend to be really defensive, useful Pokemon. Like, if you add the Steel type, or the Water type, or the Fairy type to a Pokemon, you have just improved that Pokemon. That's my philosophy. Like, that's... A lot of Pokemon that I fucking love using have one of those types, and Aggron is just fucking amazing. It was the first truly cool Steel type. I love this thing, and it is rare for me to play a Generation 3 game and not be doing a Water Mono run where I don't use one of these guys. It's fantastic. Meditite. I tried using one of these in Generation 4 once. Mainly because I wanted to get it into a Medicham where it learned a specific punch that I wanted to breed onto another Pokemon. It's really stupid looking, and I hate its lips. I don't like it. Electrike. I don't like electric type Pokemon for the most part, so I don't like this, and I really don't like this. It looks dumb. Plusle, fuck this thing, and fuck Minun as well. No. No, stop adding a Pikachu to every generation. This was the start where they started adding a random Pikachu looking Pokemon to every generation, and these are quite frankly the worst of the bunch. A case can be made for Pichu, but these guys are the worst of the bunch. Fuck these things. Volbeat, completely fucking useless, pointless bug type Pokemon that was made to showcase the double battle feature, just like Plusle and Minun, but you never actually see anyone do it. Illumise, same thing. Roselia, like this Pokemon a lot, but it would not be good until later on. Gulpin, I like it. It's better than Grimer and Muck, but I like Grimer and Muck a lot more. Same with Swallow. Carvanha, really cool. The weird texture on this image. I like Carvanha, really cool Piranha type Pokemon. I've used it a few times before. It's pretty good. Again, Water type. Sharpedo, our first shock Pokemon. It's really fucking cool. I love the concept, and its rough skin ability is great. And yeah, it's generally a really cool Pokemon. Whelmer, I fucking love this big derp, especially this gigantic derp. It is not a great Pokemon. It's like the Chansey of water types, pretty much. Its whole thing is it's massive. I like it for the memes. I like it because I think it's kind of like this cute, gentle giant kind of thing, but I'll never actually use it. Numel. I really struggle with fire types in this generation, and Numel is one of them because typically it's another ground type, and I'm not huge on it. Camerupt I kind of like, but it's also super fucking slow, and anything that I can handle, I just send Aggron out against, and it's just like the big circle. It would look weird without these big circles, but this also looks weird. There was a better design there. I'm not a fan of this thing. Torkoal. I like Torkoal a great deal, but it's shit. And it looks awful in the modern games because the smoke is like still in pixel res. Spoink. I really like Spoink and I really like Grumpig, and I honestly tend to feel like these guys get forgotten about, and that's because they're probably never used because they're kind of shit. Spinder. I like the gimmick behind it, but it's a terrible Pokemon. Trapinch. Yeah, boy. I remember. So at this point, I was not watching Pokemon at the time. I was not watching Pokemon. I was not aware that there was a new Pokemon anime. And I was not... I just went into the shop one day with my auntie and I saw the games. And I'm like, oh my god, there's a new Pokemon game out. I had no idea. I had a birthday around the time. So I actually pre-ordered the game. Got it later on that year. And I played it. And it was the first time... Well, no. It was the last time I would ever go into a Pokemon generation completely blind. And I had a blast. And I remember I was in the battle tower with my final team, and at this time I started watching the anime again because I was curious. And I saw one of the characters have a Flygon. And it was the coolest shit I have ever seen in my life. So I'm like, how did they get that? Get that? So I looked it up. And it came from this. And I'm like, that boring thing turned into a Flygon? So I went to the desert area, I caught it, I trained it like crazy, I turned it into a Vibrava, which I fucking loved. And then I eventually turned it into a Flygon, and it was amazing. It is, I think, the only Dragon-type Pokemon for a while in the Pokemon series that isn't broken. It's pretty balanced. It's not overpowered. It's pretty good. But it's not overpowered, and in fact it needs a bit of a power boost, and it's a big fan, as a lot of vocal fans of this one. A lot of people wanted to have a Mega Evolution or some kind of special treatment that they keep giving to Charizard instead. There's a reason why people are bitter towards Charizard, is because it gets all the attention when other Pokemon need it more. And yeah, it's a great Pokemon. I love its design. It was at one point one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon. I love it a great deal. I've used it a lot for my playthroughs, although these days I tend to go for Altaria because it's got that furry type Mega Evolution. It's cool. It's a great Pokemon. I've got a story about how I first found out about it, which was really cool and organic, and I've used it a few times. It's also I also catch the Vibrava in Pokemon Colosseum quite a few times, so I have a Flygon in the in-game of Pokemon Colosseum. It's great. Love this Pokemon. Wish it would get more love. Cacneer. Actually used this thing in my very first playthrough. Turned into a Cacturn. It was pretty good. I eventually dumped it, but it was pretty good, pretty memorable. I like it quite a bit. I think it needs a better design, because the head is great and everything else is just the same shit. It's very rushed. Swablu. I always used to ignore this thing. I liked it, but I always used to ignore it. I think I had another Pokemon on my team. I don't know, but yeah, my team was usually finished at the point where it popped up, and I never really used it. And I used it for the first time in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the Gen 6 remakes of Gen 3, because this thing has a furry type Mega Evolution. And it was amazing. It looked badass. And I really like it. It's a Pokemon that I didn't like in the early generations, but I liked due to changes in later generations. Especially when they got it out of this stupid little cloud, and you actually realize that the cloud is its wings, kind of like folded back. It makes it look a lot cooler in the newer games. Zangoose. It has this whole gimmick with Seviper, and it's kind of boring. Seviper. Not as good as Arbok, and also kind of shit to use. Boring. It's another one of these kind of dual, like a double battle Pokemon that you only see a gym leader use once and you completely destroy it. Solrock, same thing. Barbroach, don't really care about it, don't like it. Wishcast is amazing though. I've used this a few times. Again, it's another water ground type Pokemon. Surprisingly tanky, can hit surprisingly hard. It's the first properly good fish Pokemon. Unless you count Sharpedo, because Sharpedo is pretty good and that is technically a fish, but when people think fish, they don't really think sharks, if that makes sense, unless they're, they know animals. Corpish! I love Corpish from the anime. It's shit in games. Same thing with Cordon. I like it, but it's shit. Baltoy is boring. Claydol is boring. Lileep. I forgot what Lileep was. Oh, yeah, it's the fossil I never choose. Cradily, same thing. It's good. It is a really good Pokemon, but I don't want a lamprey with a bunch of penises around its neck on my team. Now, this is the one I usually choose, and I always think it's a steel type, but then I remember it's not. Armaldo, it's a bug type, and it's surprisingly good. I've used it before. Yeah, it's surprisingly good. I really like its insectoid design. I always think it's bug steel for some reason. I don't know why. That's always how I remember it, but it's not. And I never use it. I've used it once, and it was really good, but I think it always gets outclassed by Aggron. I think that's the problem, because it kind of fits into the same thing, and Aggron just has better typing. Feebas. Right. Fuck this thing. However, this thing, I want to fuck me. Like... That sounded much more creepy than it did. I thought it was just going to be a stupid wordplay joke, but no. Milotic is Gyarados, but better. Because it's not pure attack. This motherfucker has so many of the amazing kind of... It has so many of the amazing, like, water-type moves that can make water Pokemon really tanky and annoying to face. It looks really cool, and it is a Pokemon that I love to have on my team, but very rarely do, because I cannot be asked with going through all the Hullabaloo in order to get it, because it is one of the most annoying Pokemon to obtain, especially in the early games. I did it once, and I never regretted it. It was amazing. In fact, to this day, I have a save file that I never got rid of on my Pokemon Coliseum game that has this thing with the rest of my team at the time in the game. Because I wanted to keep it, but I also wanted to replay the game. So I transferred the team over to Pokemon Coliseum, used it to do the 100 tower thing, and then I could restart Pokemon Emerald. But yeah, it's great, but it's a pain to get. Castform, it's a gimmick. Cacleon, it's a gimmick. Shuppet, oh yeah, it's the lesser ghost type. I don't care. Duskull, on the other hand, I believe I used this the very first time I played for the game. I had a Dusclops. It wasn't the best Pokemon. In fact, it was probably the worst Pokemon on my team, but I really liked it. You know, I didn't get Gengar or Ghastly in this one, but I did get this guy. He was great. They would actually improve him in the later games, so I really like this guy. Tropius. Another grass type, and another one I really want on my team, but I never do because I already have a grass type at the time. I like this thing a great deal. This guy is great. It really needs more love. I don't like it in the modern games because this big giant thing with these 4 leaf wings coming from it just looks dumb. But when it's stood like that in like the stills, I really like it. I love Tropius. I've tried to use it once. It's not the greatest Pokemon. It really needs some love, but it's design-wise, it's great. Gemeco. Boring, I forget it exists. Absol, really cool, but they make it better later on. Why not? Same opinion as I have with fucking Wobbuffet. I like it, but fuck it. Snorunt is boring. Glalie is boring, even with the anime. Spiel! Maroundy boy! There's a company that makes these big round cuddly toys called Squishimals. I've got one. I've got a werewolf one in the other room. I bought my mother one Christmas as well. I got her a Chinese dragon. I really want them to team up with Pokemon at one point and make a Spiel. Because it's perfect. But it's just so fucking cute. And it's you get it really late in the game. Like, really late in the game. And it's an ice type, but it's a nice water type, so it kind of balances out defensively. It takes ages to level up. It's essentially this game's Dragonite. Because you can get it before the end of the game. It takes ages to level it up, but it's worth it. But the problem with it is, unlike Dragonite, I tend to already have a water type on my team by the time I can get it. So the only time I really use this thing is when I do mono water runs. And it tends to end up being the best Pokemon on my team. Sphelio is great. It's the one you'll have for a while. Surprisingly tanky, but when you get a Walrein, you realize just how good this thing is. This thing is amazing. Everything that is good about Lapras is good about this thing. It takes a longer time to get it that way than it does Lapras, which does make Lapras the better Pokemon. But if you can train up a Walrein, you've got yourself an amazingly defensive powerhouse, which is a really weird thing to say about an ice type. But if you want to deal with dragons, this is your boy. This thing is amazing, absolutely fucking amazing. I love it a great deal. It's just because of its positioning, I very rarely use it unless I'm doing mono water type runs. But like seriously, sometimes I'll play for a game, then I'll catch a few Pokemon, breed them into eggs, and then transfer those eggs over and play through another thing with a bunch of pre-bred Pokemon. I've done that a few times, and I do want to do that with this at one point, but. Yeah, it's a great Pokemon. I have nothing bad to say about this guy whatsoever except positioning. Clamperl, boring. Huntail, boring. Gorbass, less boring, but still boring. Relicanth, I'm far more interested in its real-life equivalent than I am this. Fuck this thing! So hard! Holy shit, fuck this Pokemon! It is so stupid! Fuck this Pokemon, Bagon. This is this game's version of Larvitar. You can only get it around the end of the game. It's really good. It takes a long time to level up, but it is worth it. But I tend to have a Flygon, or is it Ariados at this point? I think that Ariados is the spider. I have a Flygon or the Cloudbird at this point, so I tend to not use it. Comes too late, and whilst I like Shelgon and I like Bagon, I don't like Salamence. And the main reason I don't like Salamence is because they stopped giving a shit when they made the wings. The wings look ridiculous. They look so stupid. And this is more so its Mega Evolution. I don't like Salamence. I think it's under-designed on its wings, where the wings don't work with the rest of it. Beldum. I also don't like Beldum. I don't like Matang, and I don't like Metagross. I think it's a really good, amazing Pokemon, much like Salamence. You can only get at the end of the game, and it's a lot of work to level up, but it is worth it. But I hate its design. I think it's super boring and super inhuman and just not likable. Regirock, don't give a shit. Regice, don't give a shit. Registeel, don't give a shit. Latios, don't give a shit. Latios, don't give a shit. Kyogre, the second time I have ever used a legendary on my team outside of the Wandering Birds. I really like this thing. It's great. Don't use it anymore on my team, but I do really like it. I think it's really cool and really mysterious, and I think it's a perfect example of what a legendary water creature would be. Groudon, I really like this thing as well, but I tend not to use it. Rayquaza, the third or fourth, was it third? I think it's the third. Yeah, the fourth legendary Pokemon I would ever use on my team, and tends to replace Kyogre. Yeah, I just think it's badass looking. It's amazing, and they made it outright godly in a Mega fucking Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, because it could Mega Evolve and it could hold an item. It was insane. It was really good. It was broken. It was too broken. It was like it was the only Pokemon you would need to do anything else. It's probably a good thing they didn't have the fucking Battle Tower, but they can just cut that out of the Battle Tower. Jirachi, it's not as good as the other one. It's not as good as Celebi. Don't care. Deoxys, don't care. Alright, so before we move on to Generation 4, that's that. Generation 3. Most of these Pokemon I really fucking love. There's a few I don't care about, most of which are the Generations legendaries, but I love Generation 3. Generation 3 is amazing. The next generation is going to be mostly negative. I could be wrong, going by my Generation 2 video, but whilst I like a lot of the improvements they made to the series as a whole with Generation 4, I don't like a lot of the Pokemon. Generation 4 is when the style started to change. Generation 4 is when Pokemon started to become overly realistic, overly complicated. What was once inspired by an animal became a cartoony version of said animal. A lot of Pokemon were really over-designed. They looked more like Digimon, and I don't like a lot of Pokemon Generation 4, and the ones that I do like are nigh on impossible to get outside of the gimmick in that game where you would put a Game Boy Advance game in the back of the DS to unlock some other Pokemon, such as I think, because I wanted to use it a few times whilst playing it, but I think Togepi is apparently really fucking difficult to get. Now, a lot of these complaints are fixed in Platinum. Platinum is a much better version. There is no reason to play Pearl or Diamond outside of the Champion Battle, because the Champion Battle is better than the original versions. They made her, they balanced her too much in the new one. But a lot of my issues with it are fixed with Platinum, but the issues with Pokemon designs have not. So next is going to be interesting.